This is Sarnia Lambton Daily for Friday, May 15th. Good evening, I'm Terry Doyle. With the provincial government opening up some businesses this weekend and more coming up on Tuesday, Ontario is moving into what is called Stage 1 of the reopening. But this does not mean we are out of the risk area just yet. The local medical officer of health says it will take some time to see if these measures have led to an increase in active cases.
It's a good sign. I think people need to be able to go out and do a few more things, but I think the message is still to maintain physical distancing as much as you possibly can and to limit your social interactions as much as you can. Just a reminder to everyone that our time frame for understanding the impact of any of those changes is still 2 to 3 weeks out from when the changes are made. So because of the time it takes to develop symptoms and testing and getting it back, and then so we're looking at the impact of this being seen over 2 to 3 weeks from the time that it starts as opposed to immediately.
Here are the latest numbers locally. 213 people have now tested positive, up 1 from Thursday's update, with 3 more people considered recovered. The total number of active cases in the region sits at 46. Over at Vision Nursing Home, 1 more resident has tested positive for the virus, bringing their numbers up to 13 residents and 5 staff contracting COVID-19 since the outbreak began. 3 of those residents have passed away. Well, yesterday, the Premier made the announcement about golf courses being able to reopen beginning tomorrow. Michael Hearse is the general manager of the Sarnia Golf and Curling Club and joins me now. And Michael, I've got to think, as soon as that announcement was made Thursday at about 1:30, your phone must have been blowing up.
Yes, absolutely. Lots of phone calls, lots of emails, lots of excitement, for the golf season to start tomorrow. And yeah, we're just excited again to be able to present our members, a healthy, safe environment for them to enjoy the recreation that we all love. So lots of excitement.
And let's touch on it right there. You talk about a healthy, safe environment. Obviously, I have to assume the golf course industry has been sent out some guidelines in terms of how to operate things.
Yes, so the Ontario government did post some guidelines for golf courses, as well as the National Allied Golf Association had put together some recommendations with regards to operations. So we had been in preparation of our opening, reviewing all of the information that was available to us, not only from health agencies and governments, but from our NAGA partners, from also other clubs across the country, as provinces like BC, Saskatchewan, New Brunswick were able to open prior to Ontario. And so we developed a multi-phase plan for the resumption of operations, which started with golf only and then goes from there. But definitely prepared to present that healthy and safe environment with the alterations to golf to uphold social distancing and reduce touch points and make sure that everybody is safe.
What sort of changes would people see on the golf course?
For us, beyond the increased cleaning and sanitization, there are newer protocols for arrival, play, departure that include a greeting station for our players that they have to check in at, some health screening questions, hand washing, sanitization station before they receive the new instructions for golf, increased spacing for tee times, so a larger distance between tee times, no clubhouse access, single rider carts, no bunker rakes, ball washers, divot mix bottles, benches, altered cups so that the ball doesn't fall into the hole, so that they don't have to remove the flagstick. For us, our staff members here at Sarnia Golf and Curling Club have been provided access to personal protective equipment that includes face masks, face shields, gloves, individual hand sanitizer bottles, and there will be increased attention and efforts paid to, again, just upholding social distancing and making sure that we eliminate any touch or transmission points.
You mentioned some of the things like bunker rakes and modifying the cups. I have already seen stories like that coming out of some of the other provinces, as you mentioned. Is that nice in a way? Obviously, you don't like to be delayed, but at least sort of letting those other provinces in some ways, do it first, and then you could see what works and hear their stories?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm very fortunate, to be a part of the Canadian Society of Club Managers and a network of club managers from coast to coast that shares data daily, and so even beyond some of the information that is out in the news and that is communicated through the media, being able to reach out to my colleagues personally in those provinces who are managing those clubs, and talking about best practices and what they're experiencing has been absolutely invaluable for us.
Tell me about the work of the staff, because I know preparation, you can't just turn the light switch on in a golf course in 48 hours or 36 hours. I'm sure for weeks now, and especially a couple weeks ago when the Premier said that indeed golf courses, go ahead, get ready. I'm sure a lot of the hardworking staff, especially knowing sort of the new world we're living in, has put a lot of hard work in.
Absolutely. We're very, very fortunate to have, an incredible leadership team, an incredible staff, certainly some of the finest professionals in the industry that have been, maintaining the essential components of our property and our club in advance and to be prepared for play. And so, we've stayed in constant communication, not only with the staff, but also the members. And again, we've received such overwhelming support and encouragement and appreciation from our members. And we just can't thank them enough. But yes, a lot of time and effort and energy and review and conversation has gone into our preparation to be able to present, again, a healthy and safe environment for everybody, our members, guests, staff, and community.
Michael, I'm sitting here picturing, as the Premier was talking on Thursday, you probably had some members almost sitting with their phone in their hand, the last number dialed and waiting to hit send to book a tee time for tomorrow. Am I pretty close to that?
Yes, we did receive a lot of calls and emails yesterday, but the club distributed, a very detailed amount of information that provided for our members how they could access the tee sheets and, how it would be available to them, the new protocols, the new procedures. So although we did receive quite a number of phone calls and emails, a lot of our members reviewed that information and were provided the guidance to access the tee sheet over the next couple of days. So, but everybody is super, super excited to get back and playing the new form of golf and under the new protocols. And I think it's just, everybody's anxious to get outside, to have that fresh air, to be able to enjoy our beautiful facilities, and to have that exercise and the benefits that come along with it. So
I've got to think those tee sheets for the weekend filled up pretty quickly.
Absolutely. We're still taking tee times now. Our pro shop staff is managing that and working diligently to assist every member to make sure that they have the opportunity to access the golf course over the next couple of days.
Michael, take me back when this all started back in mid-March. You were in the midst of the curling season, and I'm sure preparations were already underway to open the golf course in the not too distant future. But take me back to when everything obviously changed.
Yes, for us, we obviously were monitoring the situation and had created an emergency response plan, and we're following those guidelines up to our closure on March the 16th. For us, a couple of weeks shy of the completion of our curling season, and a couple of weeks in advance of what we were hopeful for an early spring. The last couple of years, the springs haven't been that great in southwestern Ontario, and we were excited to see that, we were going to be going into a little bit nicer of a spring. So definitely, altered our plans and altered our operations greatly, and we just again tried to remain in communication with every stakeholder that we have, whether it be member or staff, just tried to be inclusive, transparent, and as safe as possible, as we close down operations on March the 16th.
I guess right now, as you move forward, and like any golf course, obviously it's a wide-ranging demographic, including a demographic that's older among the membership, and I've got to think that's where, indeed, the safety protocols all have to be in place to make sure everyone of all ages is, can go out and have fun but not be at risk, but especially protecting that little bit older demographic that we know is even more risk right now.
Absolutely. We'll certainly be monitoring all of our safety protocols and procedures. I think that's where you'll see a lot of facilities, even beyond golf, as we open up and as we are able to have a phased resumption of operations, you'll see a lot of controlled access, a lot of safety measures and personal protective equipment and barriers and guidance for people to access those facilities, because it truly is a community effort for us to keep everyone safe and keep everyone healthy. And for us, we take that very seriously, and we'll be monitoring the precautions that we've put in place just to ensure, compliance, and that, again, like we talked about, that we are presenting that healthy and safe environment for our members and staff of all ages.
And I guess finally, just to be clear, the 19th hole, I guess right now, is a to-go option.
Correct. Yeah, you can call ahead here and have that service, that food or beverage, or food and beverage delivered out to you to a table where you can pick up those takeout options to go out onto the golf course or to head home for enjoyment.
Well, Michael, we appreciate the time. We know it's a busy time. All the best to everyone there this weekend. We'll catch up to you again soon.
Thank you, Terry. All the best. Have a great day.
Michael Hearse from the Sarnia Golf and Curling Club joining us. You're watching Sarnia Lambton Daily on your TV. Welcome back to Sarnia Lambton Daily. It is Friday, which means we go out to Petrolia and the home office of Sarnia Lambton MPP, Bob Bailey. Bob, how are we doing on this Friday?
Good. It's been a great day here today. The sun was shining early this morning, and had a great day. Looks like the foreboding of a great weekend, at least Saturday. Hopefully it's going to be a great day for people. The announcements were made yesterday as people get back on the golf links and campgrounds. The campgrounds are open for permanent campers that have their camp or their trailers or campers there that they can go. The provincial parks are going to be open, but with limited services as far as water and sewer, but for day use only.
So let's talk about, of course, yesterday, Thursday, was the big announcement. We kind of got a little bit of a hint of it over the course of the day or two before. Do you know, was that a case where we kind of had to wait till Thursday to make sure the numbers were sitting where they were going to when it came to cases and everything like that?
Yeah, I think that's been the premier, and he's got an advisory council he works with along with the medical officer of health, and they all sit around this, I guess they call it the COVID table or the command table, and everyone kind of has to be in agreement. Okay, the numbers are this, and they wanted to make sure those numbers, as they have been here locally as well, trending down on an ongoing basis. And I think as this goes forward, as I understand it, the next 2 weeks, after they open on the weekend and again on Tuesday, then there could be as much as a 2-week period where they're going to monitor it again every day. And if the numbers keep trending downward, then there'll be more restrictions removed and more of an opening of the different businesses. Yes,
definitely. So we saw, of course, we just talked earlier in the show to Michael Hearse from the Sarnia Golf and Curling Club. They're opening this weekend. Of course, golf courses, the full season campgrounds. I guess that's one of the big clarifications. Yeah. It's full season campgrounds, and you have to have your own, basically bring your own washroom is basically the way that works. I'm sure that's where a lot of this was played out, where opening things that do not still involve, I guess, shared facilities and to still keep people separate.
Yeah, and then and that was like that's why we give the golf courses 2 to 3 weeks to be ready, and the marinas. We didn't mention the marinas are going to be open as well if they're ready, at least to start putting boats in the water. And so that's another one. I spoke with Dave Brown the other day. He's quite happy. He said he's prepared and moving along, getting ready to, I was going to say not hit the road, but hit the water running, I guess. So, yeah, they're prepared, and they've had that 2 or 3 weeks to get prepared, as well as the golf courses and the campgrounds. I think everybody, hopefully we'll get a nice couple of days this weekend, on the 3-day weekend. People will get a chance to get out of their house, get either on the golf links or out to their trailer, to their cottage, whatever, and be able to, sit back and relax, have a, enjoy, you've earned it. Everybody in Sarnia Lambton and across Ontario has earned it with the work they've done to keep the numbers down, to socially isolate. And so I want to give a shout out to everybody in the community, along with the healthcare workers that have, of course, managed this situation with first responders, is also the people in their homes or that shut their businesses and have really put up quite a fight with this COVID-19. And so I wanted to make sure that I thank them for that.
Bob, was the discussions on the campgrounds to kind of even things out with cottagers, where it is a fixed location and self-contained and that kind of way, where you could look at going to a cottage versus going to a trailer, a lot of similarities?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been fair to allow people to go to, a cottage, because a lot of the people that go to campgrounds, that is their cottage, that is their recreational summer home, and a lot of people spend the whole summer there if they're retired. Some people go south in the winter, like Florida or Arizona, and come back and spend 4 to 6 months in various trailer parks right here in Lambton County. I know I've dealt with a number of them over the last few weeks as they tried to return, and I think this should open up a number of avenues for them. Some of them had to find temporary facilities. Hopefully that'll all be sorted out. I did want to say there's going to be a website, and it'll be available on my Facebook, of course, and on my Facebook site at bobbailey.com, bobbaileyMPP.com, and it's called ontario.ca/reopen. And all the numbers, all of the scenarios should be posted on there, and there's an 800 number that you can call as well for answers, and that's going to be staffed through the weekend. So if people, either business people or consumers alike, have questions, they can call that number, and that'll be available on my website as well.
As we move forward, talk of certain recreational activities, we'll call it parks, where people can, not big gatherings. I think there was even talk of tennis courts, for example, and things. I guess that's where, we've talked about the cottagers and the marinas and things like that, but I guess for the average person in like a neighborhood, I'm sure that's where looking to sort of move into the next step.
Yeah, pickleball. I heard a lot about pickleball, and I never heard about pickleball. So I was at the opening in Sarnia out on near Blackwell, and I didn't really know what it was. And I went out there. I didn't realize how big a sport it is, but apparently that's going to be open as well, somewhere through the weekend or by Tuesday anyway. So that's another big sport for seniors and a lot of people that are looking to get out and get active, because you can social isolate in that. You don't get real close to play pickleball. So yeah, we're going to be monitoring this very close, and I just hope people are, as they have been, socially responsible, wear their masks where they feel they need to, and especially if they're going out. And if you are going, say, north of here to either campgrounds or to cottages, make sure you buy your groceries. I always like to say shop local here in Sarnia Lambton, but shop local and take your own groceries with you and your supplies, so that you don't inundate these smaller communities, which might not have, ordinarily they'd be welcome, have welcome arms out for the tourists and the summer people, but right now they're concerned about outbreaks in their own community. A lot of them are going to, I understand, are even restricting who can access their downtowns, because a lot of the downtowns are still shut. Grand Bend, for example.
What are you hearing? When people, of course, email in, send Facebook messages, call the office. What are you hearing? What are sort of the scuttlebutt out there right now?
Well, the big questions were the campgrounds and the marinas, and then of course animal grooming. And we didn't talk about that yet much, but on Tuesday you can start making appointments, and I'm sure there'll be lineups. But for pet grooming and veterinarian services, mostly for dogs. But another issue that's coming up, and I just got a call about it yesterday. I need to look into this further, but it's the spaying of animals, cats mainly, because those services have been shut down. And there's a ton of kittens that were kittens 6 or 8, maybe a month or two ago. They're getting to the stage where they're going to start having their own kittens. So anyway, we need to get the animal spaying opened up, and that's something I'm going to follow up on tomorrow and after this call this evening. But tomorrow I want to follow up on that and see where that's at, because I've been getting calls. The Humane Society and groups like that are quite concerned.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that indeed, in terms of getting it done for the, as Bob Barker would say, help control the pet population, and indeed just the safety of the animals as well. Yeah. The border. Exactly. I know the border is a federal issue per se, but at the same time, I'm sure everyone's concerned about that. And I know, talking to the business community, maybe hoping it could be an opportunity. You talk about shop local. Well, if the border's closed, even more pushing people to shop local.
Exactly, and it's something I've always supported, shop local. I hope that as the economy opens up, that we will see more of that shopping local. And, you know, because we're concerned, I know the mayor wrote a letter to the Prime Minister and also to Premier Ford. We've expressed as a caucus on many of our caucus calls, we're not prepared yet to see the border open. We want to see, you know, because we know what's going on in Michigan to the west of us, and what's going on in Quebec to the east of us, and with New York State. You know, we're kind of here in the middle, and we've, knock on wood, we've kind of dodged that bullet so far. And I think we just really need to use some more restraint, make sure we're where we want to be with these numbers. And you asked what were some of the other emails. Mainly it was about the campgrounds, the cottages, the pet grooming, a lot of questions on pet grooming.
Is that a challenge right now, getting that information out? Because I know even yesterday with the campground thing, people said, okay, well, is it only private? And then could transient campers do that? And I've got to think it's sort of those first few hours after an announcement when the Premier can only say so much in his briefing. And I know sometimes there's specific information that goes out to the affected industries, and getting that out. I guess that's been probably a challenge right now, is trying to get so much information, probably, 50 pages of documents out in a half-hour media briefing for the Premier.
Yeah, that's why we try to. Yeah, that's why we try to post it on our social media as much as possible and pound that out through there. We have a big following on there, and of course shows like yours where I get a chance to speak this evening and talk about what happened on Thursday, what happened today, and what I see going through the weekend. Of course, Tuesday with the more business relaxation, more residential, more construction starting up. Hopefully more people will be called back to work on a gradual basis as the employers feel comfortable bringing if their business isn't ready to open, then they shouldn't feel pressured to open. But as they feel comfortable, there's a site on there, how to access personal protective equipment if you're an employer, if you've been shut down. So I know there's a website on there on that ontario.ca/reopen on that site, and that'll be posted on my social media in a very prominent spot. I'll make sure it's right up front where people can see it, along with that phone number. And they assure me the phone will be manned through the weekend, those numbers. That will attempt to give people answers to either business people or people in the community as consumers and constituents.
Now, Bob, the last 2 Fridays you've joined us, you've been in the kitchen. I see you're back in the office. Now, the Premier today put out a video of him in the kitchen making cherry cheesecake. There's no Bob Bailey recipes coming out? What's happening here?
I'm still looking through the recipe book to find something that I might be able to whip together. I don't know. I haven't found it yet, put it that way.
I think Mrs. Bailey said, no, get out of the kitchen, get out of my way.
Yeah, she don't like me out there when she's cooking, and I think she's whipping something up out there. So I come back to my sanctum sanctorum here in the home office. Well,
here it is. It's about shortly after 6 right now. Get back out there. I'm sure there's something ready for you, and enjoy your weekend.
And I'm going to go for a walk. And everybody have a great weekend and stay safe. If you can't go anywhere, stay at home and stay safe. And thank you, Terry, to Your TV for the work you're doing, along with the other media, and getting the voice of reason and common sense out to people.
Thanks, Bob. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Terry.
There's Sarnia Lambton MPP Bob Bailey. You're watching Sarnia Lambton Daily on Your TV. Well, as we wrap up Sarnia Lambton Daily for this evening, a reminder that seasonal campgrounds can open as of Saturday morning. They're only open for RVs and trailers that have seasonal contracts and can hook up to water and electricity so that people have their own washroom facilities. Golf courses are also eligible to open this weekend with many precautions in place, including spaced out tee times, takeout only from the restaurants, do not remove the pins, and 1 rider per cart. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We are off for the long weekend, but stay tuned to the Your TV Sarnia Facebook page for updates as they happen with news and information going on in Sarnia Lambton. We'll be back here on Tuesday, but for all of us here at Sarnia Lambton Daily, I'm Terry Doyle. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy your long weekend.